Did you say let's get isekai'd?
All right. Let's get isekai'd.
We're Team Mega Steak Man, and this is
Neckbeard Time Machine! Actually, it's not a time machine. We gotta get the technicalities!
Salutations, traveler, and welcome to the behind the scenes for Neckbeard Time Machine. So this was our fourth 48-hour motion capture film made for Run N Gun, which is a local filmmaking competition. Start to finish, you have to make a film in 48 hours. It's an incredibly grueling process, and we learned some very interesting things, and we had a lot of interesting firsts that I'm very excited to share with you today. Overall, we had around 14 people, both working off-site and on-site. On-site being my apartment complex.
Oh no, leave it on that.
Oh, that's what you like my house. This is our guy.
Yeah, so I'm here with the writer of Neckbeard Time Machine. What was the most challenging part of working on the project?
I feel like just like the hours. Honestly, it was a really fun project to work on. I feel like everything came together so well, and thankfully, because you and I had done stuff before, I was able to kind of like know what would work well in the script for motion capture.
Yeah.
That's really difficult. Like object interaction for what?
Yeah, that writing process was awesome. Like we just kept throwing out ideas, and then like I think it was Noah that just put a Milady meme in the Discord, because one of the requirements was it had to be about hats, and so that's how it happened. Yeah, well, he's impressed some people. Like, what are they doing? Are they just hanging out? And like I said, well, what if they're playing hacky sack? Because I thought it was funny that like, not that hacky sack is lame, but it's not considered cool, right? You know, it just kind of gives them some business. They're doing something in each universe, and we can like modify the hacky sack to kind of fit whatever world they're in. Like we ran out of time, but the hell world, they were supposed to be like kicking around a skull, and like the other two people are gonna be like dead or like mannequins or something like that. Our writer's room was pretty crazy. A lot of people yelling out ideas and Evie making it all make sense. I think this final script came in around 3 in the morning or something like that. But the story is like a constant process, not just from writing, but all the way to edit and final film. So the next day, Corey and Calvin were basically hammering out beats with the actors on set.
It's easy to be friends. You have lots of friends. It's easy.
And maybe you mentioned something about the hat.
Yeah, right, the hat. It's great. It's a great hat. You know, it really brings out your eyes.
Alright, the most important piece of the character.
Oh no! You guys want to see a trick?
We attached it to there before, that's why it looked all weird.
Yeah, that was why this guy looks weird.
Yeah, mystery solved.
May I query?
Well, I think especially when we actually do this, we'll try every person when they're just you do 3 lines, then you do the 3 lines, and then you do 3 lines, yeah, and then they end with like either gross or ew, and then that's when we can go like
I'm Corey. I was the editor, sound, writing, director of Neckbeard Time Machine.
I was one of the actors, like the fat guy.
Hacky sack cool kids.
I can't believe no one has ever heard of this game.
Oh my god! Like, ever since I found out about hacky sack, nothing's been the same.
Yeah! I love hacky sack!
We shot one actor at a time using Mega Mocap VR, which is a free tool set that I've made for Unreal Engine that uses Steam VR hardware to essentially do motion capture at home. It's really great because you get basically your face, you get hands, body, voice, all kind of in one animation file, and you're ready to do whatever you want with an engine. So while we were doing that, fitting the actors with Tundra trackers and StretchSense gloves, Ryan, Kat, and Calvin were making sure that the sets were all ready, and there were a lot of sets. Is this too tight?
Nope, you can get
A little bit more?
Yep, there we go.
Awesome.
I'm gonna end it.
It looks like the character creator model has a backwards spine on their spine.
The model has scoliosis.
Yeah.
Alright,
so we're just
and then let's do a fist bump.
We're gonna record the face.
Yeah! And then repeat that to the guy.
So I'm here with some of the actors from Neckbeard Time Machine. And so this is your first time acting motion capture, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think of that process?
It was very weird, but very fun.
Well, you've done a lot of motion capture, but you've never done motion capture in a living room before, right?
Oh yeah, no, definitely not. That was an experience. It was amazing. It was like at home, you know? You have coffee and then you go put the equipment on and you do the thing.
It's the first time that I've done direction for motion capture stuff, and I think that the actors made it worked way easier than I anticipated. They just picked it up really fast. And it was a really interesting process. And from an editing standpoint, doing mocap opened up a lot of possibilities with like changes light after the fact, which was not something we can do with film. So it was really a unique process.
You can just like spit out a copy and then like, okay, where are the weak points? Let's just iterate on that. Like versus a live action shoot, it's in the can. You can't really change it all. So like, it's like kind of cool to like see stuff come online, like, oh, there's a placeholder button. But that also was kind of a pain in the ass because like I couldn't get into some of the levels. Like I actually ended up using a level sequence to move the button around. I hate this pole. I should have just moved this pole for the shot. Because you can just do that, right? Like I could just put this into here and then get the transform and just like say, let's move this. Oh, sure, it's like over there now. I mean, I should have grabbed the stickers and stuff, but it's really easy on like a per cutscene basis, just like move objects around, right?
So our shoot was 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., which is way longer than these shoots normally take. Mostly due to the fact that my computer was constantly crashing.
You got it working?
Yeah, well, at least it's not crashing.
That's what we call working now.
Okay, I can always go home and bring my computer here.
I think we're ready. I think we're just about ready.
Okay.
Yeah, like I reset the BIOS, like I undervolted. I was in like absolute death spiral. Like I couldn't even open up one of the actors to like record them. Like that was what, it took us 4 hours to get shooting with all the actors there waiting.
The mustache man.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the character that kept crashing, and Corey found out that it's because I touched their mustache, and if I touched their mustache, like the whole system would fall apart.
With a 48-hour film, or really any creative project, you just gotta find a way to keep going despite any setbacks. And I gotta say, my faulty PC was the least of our troubles. But I'll get to that later. For now, I wanna share with you some exciting workflows that we found when we were making this project.
So what we had was 3 different folders. One is like all the assets, so like, for instance, his desktop background. We had some like elements for like the cartoon world, websites, etc. So these actually kind of reflect how the content is set up here, where we have like similar folders under assets. Let's go to characters, let's go to elvish clothing. So if you look at the source of the file, so that's like the directory, the assets directory. So like if you replace it in the assets directory, you could always just like re-import it, or let's open up the source location. So like this is also kind of gonna move with the project, and like if you need to like do revisions on something, like here it is, like that's kind of a nice way to work. We also have an editorial folder. This is a folder structure I've been using 15 plus years. I've been using this folder structure. Basically, here's all the footage, all sound stuff. We got music, sound effects, voiceover, and then bounces and mix down if you have like someone working externally that's sending you like a mix. All the edits with backups, all that stuff. Visual effects is like, if we need like some title cards or whatever. So if you're gonna use something in After Effects, just put it in the media folder. So we've got like renders, images, plates, etc. And so like if things are in the same directory, like you can move this folder around, and After Effects will often find like things that are like downstream as far as like folders go.
So just to recap, we have our assets directory, which is where all the artists work. That's where we kind of provide all the 3D models, textures, etc. We also have the edit folder. That's where all the rendered clips go. And then we also have, of course, the last folder, the Unreal Engine project.
We had this levels folder of all of our levels. And so basically Calvin went through and like made sure that these were all render ready. And having this like in the root directory, so helpful. Like it really, really cool to just like be able to like grab your stuff. And also like with the scene number in there as well, like say if we open up movie render queue and we hit render, this one, sure. I can just type in that number and like, oh, that's the level, bam.
So we also needed a way to stay organized with our cutscene creation. And that led us to Subclips and the XML workflow, which were absolute game changers.
Using Subclips really helps. Like I used to basically just put everything on one timeline for like longer sequences. That was dumb. That's a very dumb way of working. Just do this. You can have like all this stuff, like all the hacky sack people, all the animation, audio, like it'd be really easy to add audio to this. So for instance, we just go audio, the sound effect is in there. So this is like our scene, right? You can drag in sequence as a clip. And there's like there's all of our scene. and you can like move it around and stuff. So essentially, this would make things way easier if you need to reference that, like multiple scenes, for instance. Like say you like want to like have a single action from like multiple angles or something like that. Then what you do is like make your camera cuts track here, and then you make a new camera like so.
If in your level sequence you have a camera cuts track, if you drag that sequence into another sequence, it becomes a shots track, and it'll want to use that camera that's embedded in the camera cuts track you set up. So I find that like if I'm doing a scene where I have a bunch of actors, or I have like kind of an action that I want to have kind of encapsulated in a level sequence, don't put a camera cuts track in it.
One of the ways that I like to work is like put the animation in its own subclip, and then like deal with cameras later, because then like I could reference that animation in like say multiple versions of a cutscene, or like if I'm like rendering something out for the editor, like I just basically I'm getting the blocking right, the timing right of the animation and all that stuff, and then I'm basically doing that scene multiple times with multiple angles for the editor's sake.
So on our 4th year of doing this, we actually finally got an editor that wasn't me just putting all the clips into the timeline 30 minutes before this thing was due. We found a really interesting workflow where we basically exported long takes out of Unreal Engine, edited those in Premiere, and then brought that timeline back into Unreal Engine. So basically we conformed the cut from Premiere into Unreal Engine, which was super cool.
If you make a shots track, so let's go here, and make sure it's empty. I thought that it needed to have clips in it, but no, make sure it's empty. And if you right click and import XML, EDL doesn't work for some reason. Let's just go 140B. It will like populate, or it'll crash. Nope, there it is. Basically what it just did is it populated all of our shots to the length cut by the editor, Corey, inside the engine. So like this is it. This is like the lengths of that shot. Pretty cool, huh? We have like a bunch of shots for each scene, and this is just like here's the take, here's like the full motion with like big handles, but then we duplicate this sequence out and then make like different cameras. So we'd also render out something that looked like this. So same action, but just a different angle. I can see, oh, these are the exact frames I need to worry about as far as like animating a hacky sack. Just double click on this. You can see like, oh, it's just this area that we need to actually clean up. This is, it really helps you focus in on like, because again, if it's not on camera, it doesn't matter.
So despite the big wins that these workflow enhancements brought our production, there were some difficulties that nearly ended our production on the spot.
Okay, so you saw some horrible crashes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Calvin, can you explain what happened?
I will tell you, this was even worse. So as bad as it was, trying to shoot the motion capture and having Unreal Engine crashing and having the tracking dying and having the reflections on the screen screwing everything else up, when we finally got all the data together, Kyle and I sat down at our computers, we got our coffee, started working, and the very first step is, okay, let's move the character to the right position. Oh, no. And we found this bug in Unreal Engine where you move a character that has animation and instant crash.
It's fixed. No, it's crashing.
I went in the room that Kyle was working in. I was like, Kyle, I don't know what we're gonna do. This is like the most basic function. It's like, can I move the object? No, you can't.
Could you imagine not moving the actors in a cutscene? Well, we were basically gonna treat it like Doom, where we're gonna have like the world would move around the actors, and we'd set up cameras from there. Like we were stressing. Like actually, what we had to do to make Sequencer work is we had to like use the new layered control rigs and use my control rigs so we could offset the root of the character to move them around. If you click on this little plus and go to control rigs, you go layered, and then you turn off filters so you can use every single one. And this is the Mega Mocap control rig that I made. And you'll probably see like there's all those like different points I'm talking about. But watch this. If I play the sequence, all the controls are tracking on there, right? And because it's layered, because there's no keyframes, if I want to make adjustments, like say the root, which is, where is this root? Yeah, here. I can just move this around, right? And that's how we got around that bug. But you can do all sorts of cool stuff with it. Like, so for instance, like the shoulder's a little bit low. Just like raise that up. Amazing workflow. Like, I love baking things to control rigs, but now that I don't have to bake things to control rigs, I love it even more.
Yeah, that was bad, but there was an even bigger 200 gigabyte sized problem.
Character Creator 3 is the body, so we have access to a bunch of outfits. And we basically just like attach the head, like my system will just like glue the head onto the spine. Metahumans are incredible. Like they're so good, but there's so much data that gets, okay, actually let's take a look at that. Let's look at how much a take takes up as far as space, because I'm kind of curious about that. This is how long the animation is 140 megabytes. And the body, let's see, by contrast is 13. This is 13 megabytes. The file sizes on the recordings went through the roof. And we're actually basically syncing this live. Like I have this QNAP setup where it's like, basically anytime a file is saved, it goes to the server and then goes to all the computers. Basically you can imagine, okay, so we're shooting like 100 gigabytes worth of motion capture takes. So like probably like 5 or 6 computers are like needing that 100 gigabytes. So like it's just going like all over the network, saturating everything. It's actually a miracle it worked.
It actually had less technical hiccups than I thought. What's the name of the SVN service that we used?
We used QNAP. I had a QNAP server, yeah.
It has hiccups and things, but honestly, for a super quick to deploy thing, it worked really well, even for transferring big files. And with most of the discussion just happening on Discord, it was actually way more efficient than I thought once we broke off to work remote.
So we struggled through the technical hurdles and of course the collapse of my morale and sleep deprivation. And we submitted the film on time. And we were so fortunate to, out of 150 films, land top 20. It was a huge honor, and the Run N Gun Gala was incredible.
We just got done with the screening. Did everyone have a good time?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was an amazing year.
Run N Gun is my favorite time of the year. It really brings the local filmmaking community together, encourages people to collaborate and just make projects, and it's so much fun to see old friends, as well as to hear the reaction to our film.
So I think ours went over pretty well though. Like I heard a lot of laughing.
I heard some good laughs, and I think the whole audience was like, "Oh!" when they saw the Lego version.
Yeah, no,
they see him go like this, and everyone's like, "Oh!"
It was a standout moment.
It landed very well. That's the best prize.
The Lego part is the best. And you know what? Actually, so Calvin in the back here, he just basically did that in the morning before he came over, before the shoot day. He's like, yep, there it is.
Wow, okay, so that was an incredibly long look at the madness behind Neckbeard Time Machine. And you know, despite all the hardships that we had, both technical and emotional, I'm really excited to get back in there and make another film with Unreal Engine. It really is my favorite piece of software. And if you have any questions about making films in Unreal Engine, definitely leave a comment below. If you have any questions about this production, leave a comment below. And subscribe for more stuff like this. I'm constantly making new things. I'm coding a motion capture system, which you can learn more about on my channel. But yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you sticking with the video until the end. And I hope you have a great day. Take care, everyone. Oh, did I say subscribe?
Mega Steak Man.